So, good afternoon everyone. I'm Erica Martin from BSED 1E and my topic is all about the behaviorist theory of language acquisition. So, for today's topic is behaviorist theory of language acquisition. The principle of behaviorist theory. The behaviorist theory believes that infants learn oral language from other Roman rule models through a process involving imitation, rewards, and practice. Human role models in an infant's environment provides the stimuli and rewards. So that according to the principle of behaviorist theory, the theory believes that the infants are learned from what they have heard from their mother or from their environment. They learn it, they will repeat it, and also they will learn it. Human role models in an infant's environment provide the stimuli and rewards. There are two types, the stimuli and the rewards. The rewards are for example, the mother gave the infants rewards if they can follow what the mother said and what the mother wants to do the child. Next is behaviorist theory of language acquisition according to B.F. Skinner. Burrhus Frederick Skinner, who lived from 1904 to 1990, argued that language acquisition and development are learned behaviors. Si B.F. Skinner argued that the language acquisition and development learned from behaviors. This theory believes that it's from behaviors, like the baby or the infant, for example, behaviors, or they learn from their self or themselves. Tapos, behaviorists believes we learn by associating events known as classical conditioning. Also, the behaviorists believes that we learn from classical conditioning like B.F. Skinner picture. Then, in the 50s and 60s, it became popular to apply behaviorism to all types of learning, including language learning, which gave rise to the behaviorist theory of second language acquisition. The most well-known teaching method that emerged from behaviorism was audiolingualism. Like, on the 15s and 60s, it became popular. The B.F. Skinner's theory of language acquisition are become popular in the late 15s and 60s. There are types of learning, like the language learning, behaviorist theory of second language acquisition, and teaching method. The emerged from the behaviorism was the audiolingualism.
Hello everyone, this is the next part of our report focuses on the behaviorist theory of language acquisition. Audiolingualism. Audiolingual method, army method, or Nuki are the methods usually used for teaching foreign language. And this method uses the system of reinforcement, which is the correct use of traits would receive the positive feedback, while the use of incorrect traits would receive the negative feedback. Now, I'm going to present you the examples of audiolingualism in a language classroom. First is repeat after me. Okay. And the next one is storytelling. In terms of storytelling, the teacher tells the story and the students was need to remember the story and tell exactly what happened, and if they tell it exactly, that was when they learn. This one is classical conditioning, also known as Pavlovian conditioning. It is learning through association and was discovered by Ivan Pavlov, a Russian physiologist. In simple terms, two stimuli are linked together to produce a new learned response in a person or animal. Just like this example. Before conditioning, the chicken was the unconditioned stimulus, and the dog response was the salivation in unconditioned response. And the next one is the bell is the neutral stimulus, and the dog has no salivation and no unconditioned response. And when during conditioning, bell was added with a chicken, and the dog forms a salivation in unconditioned response. And after conditioning, the bell becomes the unconditioned stimulus, and the dog had response in salivation in conditioned response. That's all. Thank you.
Good morning everyone, I am Alexis Iris Ortega and I will be your last presenter for today's topic regarding Behaviorist theory of second language acquisition. So, let's start. So earlier, my co-presenter discussed about classical conditioning. So under this classical conditioning, Behaviorist comes up with a theory called stimulus-response theory. So what is the stimulus-response theory? First, according to them, it is a sequence of factors which account for the learning process. So there are two factors according to them that creates a relationship. So a receiver of the stimuli gaining knowledge about a certain language. For example, is English. So first is the stimuli. What is the stimuli? The stimuli comes from the environment. So it is the gasoline. It is the means wherein students learn a language. It is their driving force so that they will have a word, a sentence to be used. So, example of this stimuli is the linguistic input that the teacher, or for example me, would give to my audiences or my students. So, next factor is the response. So basically, the giver of the stimuli expecting a response from their students, right? So that is why how the student gain their ability to use their second language. So let's use the audiolingualism that is discussed earlier to use this stimulus response theory. First, we have talked about that the audiolingualism uses drills, repetitions so the students learn a new language. So by applying stimulus response theory, me, for example, is a teacher and you are my students. Okay? The stimuli I will give will be, and we will use repetitions nga pala. Repetitions. So, the stimuli I will give is, hello, I am Alex. That is my stimuli. This will be the driving force. This is the sentence that my students need to mimic. Okay? So, the response I am expecting is, hi, I am, insert their name here. So, that's it. Again, the stimuli is the driving force wherein the students will be using for them to gain a knowledge in their second language. So under this, to add, earlier we talked about classical conditioning. This is another conditioning that is founded by Burrhus Frederick Skinner. It is the operant conditioning. So, operant conditioning is a method of learning that occurs through rewards and punishment for behavior. Through operant conditioning, an individual makes an association between a particular behavior and a consequence. So, the behaviorist finds out more about this stimulus response theory. So, they added another R. It is the reinforcement. So, stimulus response reinforcement. So, what is it? So, behaviorists thought that students learn a new language because there is reinforcement. So, what is the reinforcement? The reinforcement is the rewards and punishments that is given to the students. They will be given by a reward if they have done good or better to the responses, and punishments if there is a wrong doing to the response. So yeah, that's it. So let's apply it in a classroom situation. So earlier we talked about the stimulus response theory. Now we're gonna add a reinforcement. So for example, we're gonna use the reward reinforcement. Okay. Hi, I'm Alex. The students will say, "Hi, I am John," and the reinforcement I will use is a reward, of course, because they've done a good job. So I will say, "Good job, excellent, you're doing great," just like that, or simply the praises that they gain from their classmates, right? So, and on the other hand, if the students did not comply to the given stimulus, so basically they will be having a punishment. That's it. But before that, the audiolingualism is one of the used teaching method by the year 1960s, but it does not take its place for a very long time. So by mid 1960s, their expectations in this teaching method are quite lower than the result. So basically it does not gain that much popularity because they have said that students did not use the second language acquisition right in a corporate world, because they have just having a repetitions and drills over time, but they don't know what they are doing. They just know how to respond, but they don't know what it means. So yeah, that's it. And one thing is that because there are only repetitions that happens inside the classroom, the students find this teaching method boring. That's why they don't take it seriously in terms of acquiring their second language. So that's it. But After all, until now, we still are doing this kind of teaching method in classroom, but with other teaching methods, with combined teaching methods, not just the audiolingualism. So there are times that Noam Chomsky rejected this theory. Noam Chomsky is the founder of transformational generative grammar theory that says that Chomsky stated that language is not a habit structure and argued that much of human language is not imitated behavior, but is created anew from underlying knowledge of abstract rules. So, because of the downfall of the behaviorist theory of second language acquisition, Chomsky rejected it because, according to him, second language acquisition lies inside here in our mind, that there is a equal representation of every grammar, every rules, even in different languages, and that is why we acquire language. And one thing, he also said that the language is not habit structured, because we learn languages because we have an innate capability to acquire a knowledge, something somewhere here in our brain. So that's it. That's all for today, and bye. I hope you learned something from me and my co-presenters. So that's all for the behaviorist theory of second language acquisition. Goodbye. Thank you.